Lama dang gombo jen jen jambe yang shan za lo ngan ye lo zhen zhen ye zhen da nian dai nan dai ra sa jen nian dong gen je jen zhen zhen nian jen dong ga le ba Gandai sebe zerai mare nendo endo ngai gezewe Dronso nguen la bunjien dranze yen lai zhunjo yang de so Dronjai chen zhoi nye mo nye lo Lin jie jiang zhoi zhong zi jing Mare men sen dong ai nyong ko jen yen jen ze ra zhe nam de ne da jie sa jie tra se yuen den len zo jia se do we zhu zhai zhu dai zhu nian jen zhe da le men sen jiang bei yang la di om arabazana di om arabazana di om arabazana di zen den jen 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 ra wen sen ji da le de mo men ba ra sa Ka dai den je xiong lo dong ba ye lo zhe bo be nang wai zan dui su kan se da wrai de ba hai jong se je waran de na ya gong bo en jam yang chen ye ne ge me ba yang dong wai shu When Zion does Zengarai Shire be mine, Jembani So Nam Nyan Den Janza, so Engandre Lama, Nam Lai Solvinde. Oyen Sanje Nibe Tunje Sendre Jen Rondo Yan Sun Korlunje. Namdarai Samye Ninden Dendren Gwen Chonjiro Lembe Shablai Solvinde Jambai Jenlai Bime Nambar Jalase Lanje Yangse Josomba Kabai Denden Bemai Dongali Janyan Jenze Wang Boroi Solvai Kandre Longjen Bere Namban Drunze Jen Namne Shengde Lam Sonje Reme Denze Yunden Janzunde Lundren Daye Shala Sowande Omen Chunji Yenje Bodane De Soin Sanje Wenje Ngoni Ransen Chungo Ngon Denze Ba Zawe Lame Shala Sowa Namaria Damara Ikinando Dande Jenje Ronda Dame Ikinam Dua Ganji Dagi Tamje Gendo Daji Chedendo Manam Kadanyam Besenje Tam Che Zope Sanje Jisala Kopra Chave Chedula Tene Maron Suji and Ngöndro Chedi Sempra Chao Sampe Kulong Tukeva Tang Saltate Sempra Shoes.
So I request all of you to listen with the motivation, the following motivation, that we will now contemplate these preliminary practices for the purpose of establishing all the sentient beings equal in extent to space who are mothers on the state of complete omniscience.
네, 먼저 지된데가 되네. 먼저 기측들 먼저 같이는 임바 Ngöndro nyamnen kiting dusum Ngöndro de jang thoksa insul Ngöndro yewa dangche nga yores nga yobe nangne tene hidi shusimbares ngo taring anzo Ngöndro yewe nangla leyores Ngöndro yewe nangla yang jorwa Ngöndro tunji Ngöndro ngoshi Ngöndro sum yobe nangne yani jorwa Ngöndro shuchane taring tunji Ngöndro shebe kapsures.
So, for the general explanation of the preliminary practices, there are 5 topics. First, the explanation of the meaning of the words preliminary practice, and second, how the preliminary practices are important, and third, the explanation of the 3 different forms of the preliminary practices: the extensive form, the medium length form, and the concise form. And then fourth, how the preliminary practices function to gather the accumulations and to purify the obscurations. And the 5th topic is the topic on the different types of Ngöndro or preliminary practice. So now I have finished explaining the first 4, and now we're on the 5th topic, which is the explanation of the different types of preliminary practices. And here there are 3 types: the preliminaries of the requisite items, the preliminaries to the meditation session, and the preliminaries to the main part. So now we have finished the preliminaries requisite items. And now we're on the explanation of the preliminaries to the session.
Tungu Ngöndro nangla ani nesum chöpa tang tene lamala solwan deba lamala solwa de kriyiseba niyoba teres.
So for the preliminaries to the session, there's 2 main parts: putting into place the 3 key points, and supplicating the guru and merging your mind with the guru's awakened mind.
Tene tenangla marik nidok te ani tunji Ngöndro gi yelares.
So the awakening from the sleep of ignorance is a kind of like a subsidiary part, or a ancillary or minor component of the preliminaries to the meditation session.
Tene kazang kongdu tene shogeya langbe kapsu tene ngurumba chetang pawo khanda sokham je yar hengni tene ku khargi namjur song tene alikali ki dake tene thuk tene chönyi ingle ningjiji dagla tete ani dadrilji dadanji de sechime nambala chönsong sambara ta phone number namkhala ta chapung se chönyora ngana jo sokshingi lazo ta chönyeba gi dunla tene ngana jo khari dungo go res na di domba de dungo go res.
So what we have in this practice of awakening from the sleep of ignorance is that the Guru Rinpoche, together with his retinue of all the Dakas and Dakinis, they arrive in the space before us with their bodies, their dancing, their speech resounding with the Sanskrit vowels and consonants, and that their mind from within the state of the Dharmadhatu, looking at us with great compassion. And so they all arrive in the space in front of us in this way, really vivid, really vivid way, kind of pervading all of the space in front of us in a really majestic way. And then now I will explain what we are supposed to say to them. We're supposed to recite something to these deities that arrive in front of us. So now follows exactly that.
Tinala Jelama Chondro Sonamji Midala Tuji Chenji Sik Tuitanda Kamsum Semjenam Semlunga Tenji Ngamdunal Tesene Turbe Nangwaracham Madudu Turbe Semjenla Purari Tobe Namjurne Shinkachu Nesu Drembechir Palama Jidin Jeshune Lungai Tanyum Minepar Twentesan Gosun Tenla Pap Lechawa Tunshi Changla Chu Neri Drenyamge Shingdiru Darashin Tunyin Drubayi Kelama Chondro Sonamji Midaji Gosum Chenjilo Kelama Chondro Sonamji Midaji Gosum Chenjilo Kelama Chondro Sonamji Midaji Gosum Chenjilo.
So what we have to recite is comes next to the text. Lord Guru and the host of Dakinis, gaze upon me with your compassionate eyes. Now all sentient beings of the three realms are asleep, their minds in a state of indifference. When waking up, they wander through experiences of confusion, so that I, your child, a yogi who realizes natural awareness, may guide all my mothers, the sentient beings of the six realms, to the pure land of celestial realms. I will follow you, Father Guru. Not remaining indifferent in thought, word, or deed, I will gain certainty by learning, contemplating, and meditating, and arrange my life around the 4 sessions. In this delightful realm of a mountain retreat, I will accomplish the welfare of self and others. Guru, may you and your host of Dakinis bless my body, speech, and mind. Guru, may you and your host of Dakinis bless my body, speech, and mind. Guru, may you and your host of Dakinis bless my body, speech, and mind. So this is what we recite in front of those deities. So when you recite this text here, it's good to do it with the melody, and the melody has already been recorded. I believe it's put online. Oh, okay. Thank you. It will be sent as a recording. How to recite the melody, the exact melody. But if you cannot do that or don't want to do that, it's also fine to just recite it, without any melody, as I will do here now.
아니 레골 땡기래 레와 슈바 당보디 레와 슈바 땡기래스 니바디 레와 강기체도 슈바 대 땡기래스 숨바디 담자 땡기래스 시바디 아니 칠랍 슈바 땡기래스.
So this text that we recite, there's basically 4 main parts to it. The first part is a kind of requesting the deities to fulfill our hopes and to fulfill our wishes. And the second part is what is the purpose that we are asking them to fulfill our wishes. And the third part is that we make a commitment, and the fourth part is to request for the deity's blessings.
네, 당부 레굴슈와기 칙디 카레스나 젤라마 칸도 소남지 미달라 투제 젠지 식 셰베 칙니디 네 레굴슈와레스.
So as for the first part of this text out of those four, which is requesting them to fulfill our hopes, to fulfill our wishes, this part is described in the first two lines of the text. Lord Guru and host of Dakinis, gaze upon me with your compassionate eyes.
이바디 뒤단다 감숨 셈제남 생능과 땡지 ngöndro 대세네 주베 나와참 마두루 주베 셈제라 부랑리 또베 남조롱에 신카제네스 젬베 치르시겐디 아니 레굴 대기 제도를 들치고레스.
And then, so that's the those first two lines are kind of requesting those deities to help us with our wishes. And now the second part of this is the purpose for which we are requesting their help. This is described in the following lines. Now all sentient beings of the three realms are asleep, their minds in a state of indifference. When waking up, they wander through experiences of confusion. So that I, your child, a yogi who realizes natural awareness, may guide all my mothers, the sentient beings of the six realms, to the pure land of celestial realms. I will follow you, Father Guru. Oh, okay. Sorry, the last line is not included in there. So it just stops at to the pure land of celestial realms.
네, 팔라마치 제슈네 르가이 방뇨 미네par 텐테상 공슨 텐라바 레차와 텐시 창라주 네르데냠게 싱디로 다란신 텐니 드루바 예세바 파르둘라 아니 탐자땡기요레스.
Okay, so then for the third part out of the four, which is expressing our commitment, this is described in the next lines, which go, I will follow you, Father Guru, not remaining indifferent in thought, word, or deed. I will gain certainty by learning, contemplating, and meditating, and arrange my life around the four sessions. In this delightful realm of a mountain retreat, I will accomplish the welfare of self and others.
켈라마 칸도 소남지 미다지 고숨 첸지로 셰바데 아니 칠랍시와 청비레스.
And then the last two lines describe requesting the blessing. There's last two lines that say, Guru, may you and your host of Dakinis bless my body, speech, and mind.
당부 레굴 슈거라 다 레굴 슈사기 율디 수레스나 제라마 라바레 당부 다 제라마 스디 라마란 제 라바레 칠단기 제세나 테네 조당 고벤당 대변라 소발란 제 라비레.
So now first we have to begin with requesting that the Guru and his retinue, all of these deities, will fulfill our hopes and fulfill our wishes. So this text there, the text that describes this starts with the Lord Guru and host of Dakinis. So here the Guru is described as the Lord, J in Tibetan, and so the word Lord, or in Tibetan J, it refers to a leader, a guide or a leader. They're the kind of how to say the chief among any group of people, the chief, the leader, the guide.
연대인징원의 시선나 제시바테 테네 똑벤다 기초로 똑변 덕주 출로 대이팅네 드네 독지 신지 민네 바실라 드네 제스네 연된징원에 시나 된데시죠.
So if we think about the meaning of this word Lord or Jay in Tibetan in terms of the special qualities that it describes, it refers to somebody who has liberated their own mind by means of their realization, on the one hand, and on the other hand, who is able to ripen other beings with compassion. So those are the two qualities that a person described by this word Lord or Jay would have.
이나양 단다값수 봐봐 라말라 제시바데 조암 공남에 바실라 고구구요레스.
But here, the word Jay or Lord is more refers to the chief figure who is the highest among all.
가리 조레 가리 제레 가리 공남에 바레스나 아니 디제 단다지 값수 드네 나랑서 잡올라 드네 타르바당 탐지 캠베 람뚠바 람뚠게 조데 드네 라마레 대인디 라마나 제라 라마 텔레 공나 신수 가야 요마레 대인디 드네 조당 아니 공나메바 드네 차그레스.
So what does this mean precisely that the Lord Guru here, Jay Lama, is the chief or the highest among everyone? What does it precisely mean here? It means that in this situation that we are in now, he is the one who is able to lead us to the state of liberation and to the state of omniscience. In that way, he is the highest among all, and he is the chief. So that's how we can understand the word Jay or Lord here.
Kanresena tandang arangsola ledang nyamongba dongal shukchambo nyongdeba tendashire ta tendele kyap token zoode lama da yomar tanda o tendi lama de zor tele kona shen yomar tendi je lamas.
So to explain this a little more, now we are in a situation where we are under the power of our karma and our afflictive emotions and the suffering. And there's nobody else besides the Guru who is able to protect us from this state that we're in, where we have where we're really tormented by our karma, our afflictive emotions, and our suffering. There's nobody besides the Guru who's able to protect us from that. So in that way, the Guru is the chief and the highest, the supreme among all.
Ne lama Chondro shibade ne teikapsu kandeshela kogoresena zoodang korla kogogo lama singde zooche Chondro singde korla kogogo yores.
And so as for the next word here, which in Tibetan is the Chondro the Dakinis, we can understand these two, the Lord Guru and the Dakinis, in the sense that they are the chief or main figure or deity and his retinue.
아니 조데 가르스나 텔라마데 구름부치레 테네 양나 소시경원에 샤나 소시기 자외 라마데 조레 테네 칸도디 코르디 구름부치기 로만텐소 테네 라 테네 칸돌라 바레 테 칸돌라 부비 견제 칸레스나 구름부치기 로마텐소라 테네 다르베 람테 타베 람테네 다르베 람당 테네 주니기 네로 리바디 떼용데 콘남바기 테네 tarwe lamla chinne chuni ne lu gi tön to yong du tene khong number la khando sta bare kharesna khong number chuni ne lu gi khalan ro du yore te indi khando she bare.
So the first of these two, the main deity is here the Lord Guru, is Guru Rinpoche. Or we can also understand the Lord Guru here, the main deity, as our own root guru. And then as for the retinue, the Dakinis, the host of Dakinis, these are the disciples of Guru Rinpoche. And the way to think about this is that how are these Dakinis the disciples of Guru Rinpoche? They have been accepted by Guru Rinpoche and taken care of by Guru Rinpoche, and he shows them the path to liberation. He shows all his disciples the path to liberation, and he shows them the natural state, the nature of reality. And when they realize this natural state and the nature of reality, they then can be referred to as Dakinis, or in the Tibetan, the Chondro, because the first syllable of Chondro ka refers to space. So these disciples of Guru Rinpoche, they are taught the space-like nature of reality by Guru Rinpoche, and they then realize that space-like nature of reality. So they're called the Chondro, or space goers, or also you can translate it as the sky goers.
Chonamji shedigapsu ene Guru Rinpoche la khor sadan hamo mangbu ke korde yore. Sadan hamo mangbu ke korde yori tene tela chok labar. Chonamji isda ki is the kulda dabara kenamji tinde che shebara regular.
So then as for the word host, this refers to the fact that around Guru Rinpoche is a huge multitude or host of deities, gods and goddesses, or male and female deities. So this is what is referred to by the host, this like very large multitude. And then in Tibetan, there's the gi, which refers to the fact that these are the agents who will fulfill our hopes. So it means that we're asking them to fulfill our hopes. That's the point. It's not reflected in the English, but that's the function of the key there.
Kare regul shigore mi dala tuje changes is mingala tuksewa chempe kuni changes gronang slaput.
So what do we want them to do? How can they fulfill our wishes, or what do we wish that they will do? We wish that they will gaze upon us with their compassionate eyes. So it means that we request them, out of the great compassion that they have, to look upon us and to consider us with that great compassion.
Regular sugar with Jimson Karigich the Imbata in my sugar, Ta Midala to the changes, Mingala to the changes Sigudu, Karichin and Ala to the changes Sigu to Labna Asigur.
So we're asking them to look upon us with compassion, and then what follows is the reason why we're asking them to fulfill our wish that they look on us with compassion.
Tuitanda Kamsum Simjanams, Tuitanda Nimanga Tutela, Tini Kamsum, Sana, the Kam, Sukam, Sumekam,
So it says, now all sentient beings of the three realms are asleep. So now here means refers to the present time with the 5 generations that we're living in. And here the three realms, that refers to the desire realm, the realm of fine materiality or the form realm, and the immaterial realm.
Tendeji comes from Sentient nams, Sentient na Sem yoba, Sem dan demba shela Sentient sigit. Tate nyunyo maimba, mambu yoba indi Sentient nam labar.
And then all sentient beings, this refers to beings who have sentience or who have a mind. And it says all there because it's not just a few sentient beings, but it's like a huge amount of sentient beings.
Tendeji Sentient denzo karichigo yoresana Sem lungmaten, Sem la gewa lungten yomares, Sem jin gewa cheshing mares.
And then it continues saying their minds in a state of indifference. So what this indifference refers to is that they haven't been shown what is a virtue, or in other words, they don't understand what is virtue.
Sem lungmaten karichigre, Sem lungmaten Senji migewe cholos, migewe chola charugo yor.
So given that their mind is in this state of indifference where they're not they don't really understand what virtue is, or they're not concerned with virtue, what will happen in that state of indifference is that their minds will fall into a pattern of non-virtue.
Ne Semdi ne gewe choso lungten tu migewe choso lungmaten ba yindu tene karichigre sana tene Senla nyalgires, te ngangdu nalus nyalgires, Senla nyaldi nyangne digres.
So what will happen to these sentient beings that are in this kind of state, where they're not really concerned with virtue, and they fall into the patterns of non-virtue? What will happen is that due to that state of indifference and that this pattern of non-virtue, they will fall to sleep. So in the previous line, it says the sentient beings of three realms are asleep.
Tesene trube na war chams yang nal nikuk deba yang lungma ten shirwa timuk shirwa ni de se yone tesene yang trube na war cham gres truba medemba la demba songajila truba sikra tindeje nawala par yang gres chams.
So these sentient beings are asleep in this state of indifference, and this sleep of indifference consists of ignorance. It's just a kind of complete lack of it's a complete lack of awareness, ignorance. Yeah, that state of sleep. And then when they wake up, it says they wander through experiences of confusion. So what that means there, the confusion here refers to kind of this ignorance is continuing, and they take things that are not true to be true. They're in this state of confusion as to what is true and untrue.
Trube nawa the condition chamgiresana pena announce bitini migne pa suk thonde tene subya po suk dukja suk ding ding tende doja shida temo sum ngam tende simpa chamtu tena shinji nawa lan tena shida doja shida temo sum nalayan chigi doja shida temo sum tene chelayan doja shida temo sum tende ngala 니만인간 근데 you want to do the good. Tell a chance.
So to explain this a little bit more, what it means that these beings, after they wake up, that they're wandering through experiences of confusion. It refers to the fact that all sentient beings, when they see visual forms, everything that they see, either they conceive of it as being a beautiful form, a nice form, or an ugly form, a not nice form, or a kind of neutral type of form, a visual form that they see. And then this gives rise to attachment, aversion, and ignorance, this conception of what they experience. And similarly, everything that they hear, they will conceive of as either being a nice for them, or neutral, or not nice. And everything that they smell and a taste and a touch and a thing and so on, all of that will be conceived by them as being either something nice or neutral or not nice for them. And so in this way, the whole day, the entire time that sentient beings are awake, for that whole time, they are under the power of this delusion, confusion, and under the power of attachment, aversion, and ignorance due to this.
Tene tulbagi tulsul thela tene dag me bala dag tene dungal wala dewa tene mitak pala takpa ne mitang wala tsangwa tendre ko ni ani tul bores tulbadi mayim bala imbar sungna tul.
So another way to explain this delusion is that these sentient beings, they perceive what has no self to have a self, and they perceive what is in fact suffering, they perceive that to be pleasant or happiness. And they perceive what is unclean, they perceive that to be clean. And they also perceive what is in fact impermanent to be permanent or lasting. They perceive what is not really lasting, they perceive that as being lasting. So in this way, the sentient beings are deluded.
Pena tulbadi etaji shakbayna tene gongmo chido nakrup yebe kapsola ngarangzo takhtala ruzingi namba shugurwa te kapso ruzingi namba shugde takpala ruzimbe gi namdokchiora te midem pala dembar zimba tulbares.
Right, so this what this means is that they are not perceiving things as they actually are. So the example for a good analogy for this is at the nighttime when it's really dark and hard to see clearly, one may mistake a brightly colored rope for a snake. And this idea that this person will have, that this rope is a snake, this is perceiving things not as they actually are. They are, they have this mistaken conception. So this is an analogy for the what we're talking about here with the experiences of confusion.
Takpala tene dulzini yondi tene midembala dembar sungwa sigres.
So when somebody will perceive a brightly colored rope to be a snake, this is what is referred to by taking things to be true that are untrue.
대당 자와 나랑서 닥생인데 템바드비오 말에 이나야 나랑서 닥 스진바치요. 어디 출발. 아니 감성 코로아디 동아리 이나야 나랑서 감성 코로아는 디 대화도 디 기부도 생각나도 생기요. 대 출발. 아니 나랑서 풍고 수보데 장만이 약보 연습에 야르게 뭐네 된 약보 잖아 풍보도 상관 쏙발. 근데 뭐부터 장마 미다바래 이나양은 딱바래 선을 땜바 정도도 어때 정말 출발했다.
So what we do is we all have this idea of ourself. We all conceive of ourselves as having a true kind of identity and a real self, and we hold that to be true when in fact that is not true. And similarly, in this samsaric existence that we're living in, this nature of this existence is in fact a suffering, but we go through it thinking that there's happiness that we're enjoying and thinking that that it can be pleasant and happy. When in fact its actual nature is suffering. And then we also think of our own bodies as being something that is very good and clean, and we kind of really cherish it and take care of it as something really worthwhile and good and clean, when in fact its true nature is very unclean and disgusting. And then also we hold on to things as being lasting and permanent, and being really truly existent and lasting and permanent, but in fact they are not lasting at all. And so this is the what is referred to here by confusion and taking thinking as being true what is actually not true.
이나양 단다 되거다. dag 메발라 dag도 진데에서 이나야 간사 가시라양 도바 깨시게. dag 메나 당아 상칸데 자게 수상 지기를 했어요. 나 유니 아니 상기레스그라 미카시게 셈발라 남도 된데레스그라 dag 여발라 때네 당아 상지기를 상니 나 상지기를 마도 dag 메나 수상 지기를 했을 때 이렇게 도발리시기를 했어.
So it's possible that somebody may have a doubt about this reality of selflessness. I just explained that we grasp onto ourself as being real and having a true identity, when in fact we have no real self or fixed identity. So somebody may have a doubt about that and think, well, if there's no self, then how can I become awakened? How can I become a Buddha? The person who's going to become a Buddha is me, isn't it? It's myself. So if there's no self, then how can I become a Buddha?
아니 코랑기 직된 출발이 뭐라다 바이나 되기레스. nga yobala tene nge chis perna nga yobala tene tenge cha thong sing twa ngudwa inayang chu nesul khorang la te sha baina tene kalde dak sing de yoba ina tene sanje ko bang thoye me ba cha tu dak sing de demba drupara dak sing de demba drupatang sanje gi nesul de dokcho thade indi tene dak kasi yoba ina tene sanje ko bang to be mere dak meba indi ta sanje ko bang to ye.
So somebody may have this kind of doubt that it's ourself that becomes Buddha, becomes awakened. But the way to clear away this doubt is to understand that this self that we conceive of in that way, that exists from the standpoint of our deluded, mistaken experience that we have. For example, when we drink tea, we think about it, conceive of it as ourself drinking the tea. This is me drinking the tea. But the fact is that if we think about it in terms of the ultimate reality, the natural state, or the way that things actually are, if there is a self, then there would be no way to attain awakening, in fact. Because our self is something that is like a truly, if we do have a self that is actually truly established and has kind of fixed identity, then that could not become awakened. It would not change. And the dokcho is sangha.
Dokcho sanjira. Pena dagi dokcho khare dagmera. Dagme di sanji ko ra.
So in fact, this is self that we conceive of, and the state of awakening, the state of Buddhahood, are actually opposite to each other. Because the state of awakening, the state of Buddhahood, is the state of selflessness, a state in which there is no self.
So dagme ki tendok sigda, dagme ki tendok sigda so, tene dagme ki tendok na, tene sanji kumang togro. Kalde dak singi di yoba ina, tene dagme maimba chadu. Oya, dagme ina, dag yoba maimba chadu. Dag yoba ina, tene dag meba maimba chadu ra. Dag yona, tene dagme kadion chaya yomata. Taji lam dembangone kangladona, dag singi di yomare lagura, dag meba yindi, tene dagme togri. Kalde dag yona, dagme togumare karesana ko dagmegi dokchora dagmegi dokchogi dagmeba khalesen togturu togumare koram dagye sajaran digire mado ko dagme chagtugumara ta ko dagme indi dagme chogtu togtugure.
So we talk about realizing selflessness. It's a way to attain awakening, a way to attain Buddhahood. And so if there is actually a self, then there's no way to talk about realizing selflessness. And we would not be able to reach the state of awakening, which is a full realization of selflessness. So in this way, they're opposite.
Around the Subutia, Kizatangushana, Zopare, Papa Zopare, Xia Zopare, Ta Zopare, Tegana Shinji Kobenala, is a Zopare.
And if we think about our the next kind of object of our confusion that I was describing, our body, to be honest, our body is actually really unclean. The skin is unclean, the flesh inside is unclean, the blood is unclean, the whole thing is in fact unclean.
Only at Zopare, the Inang around the Sangma in something. Inayang, Sose Karichigre, Kujin to Taka Sangma Sudigre. Sangma Sogo a Jumjin Kari, Sopa Yeva Latin Sangma Sogo Yura, Sopa Mena Karisangma Sogomara.
So although it is actually unclean, we have this idea that it's clean. We have this conception of our body as being good and clean. But if you think about it, we spend a lot of time cleaning our own body. So if our body is truly clean, as we tend to conceive of it, this would not make any sense. If the body is clean to begin with, there's no need to clean it. We only have to clean something that is unclean.
Then Mishi Kangba Zangma Sugi Yona, Midila Tiwatina, Kyokarichigi Yosana, Kangba Pe Zobadu, Nazangma Sugi, Labra, Kangba Pe Zangmadu, Nazangma Sugi, Labimarwa.
So, for example, if somebody is cleaning their house up, and we ask them, well, what are you doing? why are you cleaning your house? They would say, I'm cleaning my house. I'm cleaning my house because it's dirty. I have to clean it up because it's dirty. Nobody would have the idea that I have to clean my house because it's already clean. So I'm going to continue cleaning it. So this is actually the way our bodies are. We spend so much effort taking care of our bodies and cleaning our bodies, because if we don't clean our bodies, they will become dirty and disgusting and kind of, lose their proper form in our eyes. And so the reason that we have to do this, if you think about it, is actually because our bodies are really dirty and unclean to begin with. And similarly, in all the realms of samsara, there's it's basically all consists of suffering. In the hell realm is suffering. The hungry ghost realm is suffering. The animal realm is suffering. The human realm is suffering. The demigods and the god realm is suffering. Although from time to time or temporarily, the gods will experience happiness. Also the humans. So the humans and gods will, from time to time, the experience of humans and gods will be happy. But if we actually look at those experiences that seem to be happy, if we really check it, in fact, those experiences are ultimately also suffering. So, for example, when we are eating really tasty food and nice food, this food, we will have a kind of pleasant experience, and it will be a happy experience when we're eating nice food and pleasant food. And when we get a nice new clothes and wearing our nice clothes, this is also it seems like a happy experience. Or if we have a nice place to stay, nice, clean and a pleasant place to stay, this also seems like an experience that is simply happy. It's a nice thing. But when we check about what these experiences actually are, all of these experiences are tied up with non-virtue. So in that way, because they're tied up with non-virtue, they actually will lead to suffering, and they consist of suffering, in fact. So for example, if we drink some water, there's actually many kind of microscopic beings inside the water, and all of these beings, they will die when we drink the water. So in that way, even drinking a cup of water is a non-virtue. And so the way that we usually think about it, don't we usually think, we usually enjoy to have a nice cup of water, and it's a nice time, it's a pleasant thing to drink a cup of water. But in fact, this is the cause of suffering. So there are these kind of really extremely small and microscopic beings in the water. So drinking the water will be a cause of suffering. It will be a non-virtue from killing those beings. But then we may think eating rice, maybe that is free of non-virtue and free of suffering if we eat rice. But in fact, it's not the case, because when the rice is grown and harvested, in the process of growing and harvesting the rice, all of the insects in the field, in the rice paddy, the ones above the ground will get pushed underneath the ground, and the ones underneath the ground will get will be brought up above the ground, and the insects will suffer and die in that process. So in this way, even eating rice is a cause of suffering, because the way that the rice was produced involves a non-virtue, a lot of non-virtue. So when we eat that rice, because of that, this also we are also connected with that non-virtue and with that suffering. So even if we avoid all of these non-virtuous actions and all of this suffering, if we don't drink water and don't wear nice clothes, and if we don't even eat rice, not connected with any of this kind of pleasure or happiness that we conceive as being pleasure or happiness, there's also the pleasure of our mind, or the happiness that we experience in our mind. But this is also actually suffering, and this is referred to as the suffering of change, because that happiness that we experience in our mind, it doesn't last. It will always change and disappear. So this is why Guru Rinpoche has said that in samsara there is not even a pinhead worth of happiness. There's not even that small amount of happiness that would fit on a pinhead. And even if there were, if somebody were able to experience that really small amount of happiness, that actually would be the nature of the suffering to change.
kainaya kap ki tsemo lab yongdi kaps karla garsana mi namje dan demba rigba yonga dan demba digi kamsung korwa ta yongdi kap ki tsemo kangla deba nangshin ji yore ta namje me rigba mengegi ta korwa dewa du tengir.
Actually, I misinterpreted the meaning of that verse. Actually, what it's saying is in the samsara, which is like the point of a needle, there's not any happiness to find. And even if one were to find some happiness, that would be the nature of suffering of change. So what this means is that the samsara is here referred to as the point of a needle. So it is like having to rest or sit on the point of a needle. It's just a completely painful experience, and dealing with the point of needles in that way is just a painful experience. So somebody who has some wisdom and intelligence, they will think about this, and they will come to the conclusion that it's not a good thing to stay in this kind of situation, which is basically like a kind of needle point, or sitting at a needle point. Whereas somebody who doesn't have as much wisdom or intelligence, they will think, okay, then maybe it's fine. I will stay here in this type of situation, which is like staying on the point of a needle. And moving on to the delusion of permanence, all the conditioned phenomena, all the phenomena are actually impermanent and not lasting. None of the conditioned phenomena lasts. And this we actually see in our own experience. We can see it with our own eyes that nothing is lasting. It's very clear. But nevertheless, we continue to grasp at things as being lasting and permanent. So, for example, we have people in our life that die, and we witness them dying. And even though we witness people around us dying, we don't consider that we ourselves will die. We think we will just continue to stay here. And actually, when people in our life die, what they're actually doing is signaling to us that we ourselves will die. What they're doing is showing us, oh, you also will die, right? But we don't get that signal. What we think is, we just think, oh, this person is dying. How sad. We never think that we ourselves will die. So we never think of this, that we ourselves will die. And we have our physical body, and the way that this is referred to in Tibetan, the word for the body in Tibetan is lu. And actually, what our body is is something that's going to be left behind. As the word in Tibetan also means liba, it will be left behind. When we die and our mind separates from our body will just be kind of left over and left behind.
Today, indeed, that should be now the camps. In the camp to the camsa saja kawa jamgre, draw trooks, that camp city drogora, camps the drogota, jam drona, drogora, the la drawas, trooks, camsa the kawa jamgre, draw trick drugina jamgur, the in the matro trooks.
So in the text here, it says when waking up, these sentient beings wander through experiences of confusion. And then the next phrase is in Tibetan is all my mothers, the sentient beings of the sixth realm, which is 2 lines down in the English. Ma Drupla my mothers, the sentient beings of the 6 realms. So these sentient beings, they were described as wandering. And so what that means is that they're wandering through the 6 realms. This is kind of describing the location or where they're wandering. In this phrase, the sentient beings of the 6 realms.
Sentient Draw sentient meaning that sentient droguyor, kawan droguyor, draw rig do not draw the Kapkala Nyalwala draw, Kapkala Itala draw, Kapkala Tendulan, Kapkala Mila draw, Kapkala Tala draw, and there send rig druginala, Korejami, draw the they draw sentient, draw rig drugs.
So these sentient beings, they are given this kind of a term, sentient beings, and also in Tibetan, the term also used here for sentient beings is the drowa, the goers. So what this refers to is that they are going around and around. Sometimes they will travel from the hell realm to the hungry ghost realm, and they will go from the hungry ghost realm to the animal realm and go to the human realm, the god realm, and so on and so forth. So because they are going around, wandering around through the realms of samsara, then they're called drowa in Tibetan, sometimes the goers.
Tindeji, rig do not draw young day, Tini draw sentient tensula, Tini Tungal Sam Jimmy Jabajubar.
And because these sentient beings, they wander through the 6 realms and they go from realm to realm, they experience an inconceivable suffering.
Draw rig to lot Rogangi, sentient Tungana, Sopa Yubiki, draw sentient tenso, the Karichak de Marangi Amacha, Elaborate, changes and Patijin Chikapsu, draw sentient Tamje, Mayin Bashabu.
So who are these sentient beings that are wandering through the realms of samsara and experiencing all different kinds of really inconceivable suffering? These are considered to be our mothers in the context of practicing the Mahayana, the Bodhisattva path. This is how the sentient beings are conceived. This is who they are to us. And if we really actually look at the way things actually are, it is in fact the case that there is no sentient being who has not been our mother before.
ane kumbulu tuki mai tukta jashuk tsiku zang ribut jang sai longmi jiru songare ane jikdenji kamde tene pa chulugni zine tene tambak rabo tokdo suyani riri suyani ani kerangi madire sana jikdenji kamji saji sanga zogdu res ine ma tandoyan zuku mares magi tama tuksati tandoyan tuktu mares.
So this is described by Nagarjuna when he said
Jashuk said tanda shukpagi gola tokto jimuda dita tokto diga stika sunaya jikdenji kam tokto di zogdu gres ine mai changsit tandoyan zog mares.
That Nagarjuna, who said that the extent of the sentient beings who are mothers, or have been our mothers, if we were to if they took the form of a juniper berry, then we could fill the entire world with the juniper berries that represent our mothers, and still there would still be more beings that are our mothers that we haven't represented yet. So it means if we take the entire world and form it into like a small juniper berry type of a small juniper berry size balls, which is like a very small berry, we could take the entire world consisting of these small berries and count, this one was my mother then, this is my mother from this time, this is my mother from this time, and count an entire, like a world's worth of juniper berries representing our mothers, and it was still we would still have more sentient beings that are our mothers left over. The mothers would still be left to count.
대인비 김전대 가래서나 직된지 감대 코로와 토마 시바지 유에레베서나 코로와 토마 생인데 요말 코로와 토마 디네 중 시바디 중사사제디 쑥사 요말 대쭉 메디 마랑조 단다 감성 코로라 깨요래 대깨디 토마 메만이 깨고다 토마 메만이 살까지 깨고래 깨당레레라 마레레 땡고라 그냥 깨와 직레나 마직 랭고래 깨와 똥레나 마똥 랭고래 깨와 봄지 랭게나 마봄 다 된대기 코로와 토마 요말에 토마 메디 깨와 장메바 깨와 장메바인데 심제 탐지 마마지 바지 꺄요 말에.
So what is the reason for this, that there is not one sentient being that has not been our mother? The reason for this is that if we think about samsara, this existence, the samsaric existence, there is no beginning to samsara. We cannot, there's no point at which we can say, this is when samsara began. And seeing as that we ourselves have been born into this existence of samsara, this is also our state. We are being born into samsara as well, which has no beginning. So this means that our lives, our past lives, also have no beginning. And in each of those lives, we had a mother. So if we had taken one life, we would have one mother. And if we had taken 1,000 lives before, then we would have had 1,000 mothers for those 1,000 lives. And but the fact is that we have taken infinite a number of lives, because samsara has no beginning. It stretches back into infinite time. So this is why we can see from this that there's no sentient being who has not been our mother before.
Today in the Sentient Changma Macheba Matsebe, Sentient Chigi Yang Matang Bache to Tendra Yores. Sentient Changma the Machera, Timamba, Sentient Chik, Kiranda Buchigi Nayangagi Man, Linda Monguche.
So just in the same way that for all of us, all of those, we have this infinite number of mothers in our past life. In the same way, each sentient being has actually been our mother a countless number of times.
And then the Sentient Tam, Mama Imba Meti, Tini Kurpas, Maturu Kurpas, Markura Imbena, Tini Mama Krua maybe Sentient Meba Imbena, Markuras.
And since in this way, there's no sentient being that has not been our mother. You know, all sentient beings are basically our mothers. That is why it's said here, so that I may guide all of my mothers, the sentient beings of the 6 realms.
Edabu Markurbe, Sentient Tenzo Las, Sentient Tenzola, Tangaki Chik Checking Labore, Sentient Tenzola, the Purang Ritobes, Sentient Tenzo Amala Shafsonre, Sentient Amala Shafti, Harang Puchaore. Ta Ame Lega di Pugi Dupugura, on the Nashitini, Purang Ritobe Nanjurnes, Pu Tene Narangi, Sosorangi, Rikpade, Tornes.
So here they, all of my mothers, the sentient beings of the 6 realms, they're the object of an action here in the text that we're reciting. It is us. So yeah, they're the object of the guiding. So it says, so that I, your child, a yogi who realizes natural awareness, may guide all my mothers, the sentient beings of the 6 realms. Here it is us who are going to guide all the sentient beings who are mothers. And the idea here is that it's the children that will have to take care of their mothers, right? So in the same way here, it's conceived of in the same way here. I, your child, I, your child, a yogi who realized natural awareness, may guide all my mothers. So we're taking care of these sentient beings because children are supposed to take care of their mothers. Children take care of their mothers. And the yogi who realizes natural awareness, it means once we realize the natural awareness, then we will really be able to guide all the sentient beings who are our mothers.
Sentient Tenzola, Pama Sentient Tenzola, One Pentokuyo, Pama Sentient Tenzola, Tendu Deva Tokuyona, Teni Tet Tupper Chebagi, Kup Tukin the Sures, and Atani Rikpatire, Rikpat Nelu, the Tokuyona, Teni Sentient is a capture, Tungale Tentugre. Tendrigi Rangrigi Nelu the Tomena, Teni Pama Drea Pasha, Narayang Tarban Toptukmare. Ten the Tambu Karigudu. So rang rikpati to gudwa te purang rikpopes.
So if we think about all these sentient beings, we as their children trying to save all the sentient beings who are mothers, we want to truly benefit them and truly save them, truly help them. And if you think about how it is really possible to benefit these sentient beings, the real way to benefit sentient beings, the real thing that will be able to benefit sentient beings, is the awakened awareness, the realization of natural awareness or the nature of reality, If we ourselves don't realize that natural awareness, leaving aside the question of whether we can benefit other sentient beings, we won't even be able to get ourselves liberated. We won't even be able to liberate ourselves if we don't have that realization of the natural awareness. So this is why it's described here, I, your child, a yogi who realizes natural awareness, may guide all my mothers.
Tendi soso rangi nelu tok pe goni teni simjen ngone dewe lamla putu mato soso teni thamal patawo yona teni simjen dizo teni ngone dewe lamla pa kya thuye kale khabo cha saware perna teni amachi la puguchi yoba chasha pugudi lo chungchung lo chikni sumda bugi puguchi yoba ina te pugudi ke phamala phentok thugire thug marawa 다 보고 로 니시 쟁아 랩게다고 숨줄 랩게다고 얘나 다 파말라 샵지 슈트그로와 대나지 로 니시 쟁아 랩디 부랑리 똑바다고 차로 대다고 나랑양 드니 남식나 드니 네록 또 용데 드니 스템젠도 다르베싱나 오네다 남텐 두그레 드니 부랑리 똑베스.
So this is what we need to benefit these sentient beings, and we need to realize the natural awareness. If we don't realize the natural awareness and just remain an ordinary person, it won't be possible to establish these sentient beings in the state of happiness, to give them the true lasting happiness and liberation and so forth. This is explained very nicely in the analogy. I mean, it's illustrated very nicely by the analogy, because if you think about a mother and her children, as the children, we have to benefit our mothers and take care of our mothers. But if we as children are only 2 or 3 years old, a really small child like that, there's no way that we can take care of our mothers, and the analogy here being, if we remain without the realization, then we will not be able to take care of the sentient beings. But once the children become adults and reach up to 20, 25, 30 years old, then they will really be able to serve their mothers and help their mothers. So in the same way, we have to reach that state where we can help the sentient beings.
내기 내로기리가 또용디 또교되기 미디라 가르라 그래 날조르라 날세나 짱짱짱 약시 텔라 날라 날마스.
So the type of individual who will realize the natural awareness, that individual is described here as the yogi. And in Tibetan, the word yogi is naljor or naljorpa. So the first of those 2 syllables of naljor, the yogi, that refers to something completely pure, the kind of the really best thing, something completely pure and best.
Ripam choni nalmate ani choni nalmasdo choni nalmate tene rangi gyula tobyona ta naljors.
So if one has realized the natural awareness, the nature of reality, which is referred to by this syllable now in Naljor, translated as yogi. If one has realized that awareness, that nature of reality, then that person can be referred to as a Naljor, somebody who has that awareness, who has been united with the awareness, nature of reality.
대답은 나저기 가르치기래 네스 나저기 신카치네스 템베 치르르스 다 대답은 나저디기 아니 신카치스 신세나 상지 신감을 고고래 카치스나 상지 신텐솔라 드네 예베기 드네 나저가 된소 가르치기래 드네 남칼라 푸르네 그거요래 텐즈 카치스 신카치 텐제지네스 아니 파마텐소 마두루주베 파마텐소 아니 댕기 사
So then the moving on in the text, it says so the sentence begins, so that I, your child, the yogi who realizes natural awareness, may guide all my mothers, the sentient beings of the 6 realms, to the pure land of the celestial realms. So what the way to explain this is that I, who am your child, I may guide. What we have to do is guide these sentient beings to the pure land of the celestial realms. And this is referred to here as in Tibetan as Shin Ka-chö. So this this refers to the Buddha fields, and in Tibetan it's called the Kancha, which may be celestial realm. I'm not sure if there's a one-to-one correspondence there, but in any case, in Tibetan it's called the Kancha, because the beings in these pure lands, they don't walk on the ground; they can fly. So Kaja means living in the sky, basically, or dealing with the sky. Yeah. So, or it's also Lama saying that the chö means here to use. So Kancha, which is translated as celestial realms, it means to use Drupla, the sky. Kancha, these beings here, they kind of deal in the sky, or they use the sky when they're going from place to place.
Sentient Drembe Chirdula Sere Chirs. Take Chedula Shebare. Tajing on the Revashidi, Karigi Chedu. Da Mama Pama Senjinji Chedu, the Chirsedwa, Chedu Sere.
So the person that is going to lead all the sentient beings into the pure land of the celestial realms, this is the yogi who has realized the natural awareness. So here we have the kind of the indication that this is that this part of the text is describing the reason or the purpose that we are kind of supplicating these deities that are in front of us, the purpose for asking them to fulfill our wishes. In the English, it says, so that I, your child, a yogi who realizes natural awareness. So this is, there's some purpose to this, and this is described by the word so that, this is for the purpose of leading these sentient beings to the celestial pure lands. 第三年课程的
第三年成长
So now what I have now finished explaining is the request that these beings will, that the deities in front of us will fulfill our hopes and fulfill our wishes, and the reason or the purpose for that request. And then next time I will continue and explain the last two parts of this text that we recite, which have to do with making the commitment and asking for their blessing.
Sonam Tamje Zegba Nye Tobne Nyebe Ranam Pamje Yenga Nanche Bala Drupla Sonam Tsering Sole Kalvarai Shu